Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CEO Boss Chick Show. This is episode 3, and today I have with me the lovely Cheryl Hinton. I've known this woman since I was about 6 or 7 years old. It's been a
Wow.
long time.
Wow.
It's been a long time, hasn't it? Today we are going to be talking about taxes and finances. But before we get into that and introducing her to you, we're going to do our quote of the day. You know, we have to do that first. Today's quote comes from Zig Ziglar and it says, Success occurs when opportunity meets preparation.
That's right.
And I love that because that goes in perfectly with what we're talking about today. Everybody wants to go viral overnight. Everybody wants to wake up to 50 invoices. But if you don't have your finances in the right order, you kind of don't want to blow up so quickly. All right. So I'm going to introduce Miss Suryu, and then we are going to go with the questions here. Um, Ms. Cheryl has a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting, an MBA, which stands for Masters of Business Administration, has been a certified public accountant since 2003, has 15 years of public accounting experience. She also owned her own CPA firm from 2007 to 2015 and is the chief financial officer for St. Ambrose Housing Aid Center, which is for low to moderate income families. So she is more than qualified to share with you guys with everything tonight. So again, as I said, we are talking about taxes. We're going to be talking about finances. A lot of you guys have questions. What should I file for when I start a business? What should I file under? Should I not pay taxes as a small business because I hardly make any money? Can I get away with it? So we're going to address all of that today. So first question, Miss Cheryl,
Yes.
starting financial mistakes most entrepreneurs make in your opinion?
Well, first, let me say thank you for having me on your show. I am privileged. And, when you go back and you say that you've known me since you were like 6 or 7, you are aging me and dating me. I'm trying to stay young. My, but that's okay. That's okay. I have been in accounting, literally, I didn't even tell you this. I started doing taxes when I was 14 years old. I
Wow.
had, I did. I had an uncle who had his own, his own company. And so he taught me the old fashioned way by hand. And he would give me all those clients that came in with a shoebox of receipts. And I had to learn
Mm.
to do taxes by hand as a young, just starting out teenager before he would even let me do anything on the computer. So
Wow.
started doing taxes a long time ago. Now, when I got into accounting and working for firms and so forth, I kind of steered away from doing a whole lot of taxes, always family members. And then when I got into public accounting, that's when
Mhm.
it like came rushing back. But now, when I had my CPA firm, I really did focus on a lot of nonprofits and small businesses,
Okay.
doing audits and compilations and things like that. But there's I think one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight is the difference between a tax preparer and a
Mhm.
CPA. And there are some major differences. But in
Okay.
terms of the mistakes that most entrepreneurs make starting out, I would say really the first thing is not having a plan. You know, you have
Mm.
you have a vision, you have an idea, and you're just ready to run, but you don't have a plan. So not having your legal documents together, your administrative documents together, not knowing how to track what you're doing. So,
Mm.
how are you tracking your income? How are you tracking your expenses? Do you know how much you're making? Have you put it even in a separate account so that it's not commingling with your own personal finances? How are you distinguishing that you want to be a business owner and not just exploring a hobby?
Yes.
So the one of the biggest things that you don't set yourself up properly. That's what I find. And so when you're doing that, you're not accurately reporting your product. You're not accurately valuing also. The other mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make if they have a product or a service, undervaluing your service,
Mm,
undervaluing your product because you just want to get sales. You want to get
mm,
people in the door, but then you begin to undervalue yourself. So it makes it so that other people don't value your service or your product either because
mm,
you're cheapening yourself. That's some
mm.
of the main things that I find.
That is very true, especially when it comes to undervaluing yourself, because a lot of entrepreneurs, they start businesses, like you said, and they're put any price out there just because they want to get started. And sometimes their
Yeah.
price is way too low for the worth of their business and their content. And then sometimes they end up breaking even and then they just go out of business. And you really have to make sure that your pricing is where it needs to be, not what you think everybody's going to flock to, because just because it's
Right.
cheap, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's good.
So the saying is you get what you pay for.
Yes.
You get what you
Yes.
pay for. So the thing is, if you're show the real value of your product, and then if you want to give discounts, that's different. When you provide people with an
Mm,
invoice, show your real value, and then the discount shows that I'm appreciating who you are and you
mm-hmm.
helping you helping or being a part of my business. But this is my real value.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is very true. For you guys that are joining on here, I'm telling you guys, please make sure that you get your notepad and your pen or your pencil out, because you can already see she's going to be dropping some nuggets. Or pull out your phone, get out your notepad. Make sure that you're writing this stuff down. Number two, tax filing mistakes that most entrepreneurs make.
Okay, so tax filing mistakes. Let's see. The first one I would say is choosing the wrong form of business.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to get more into that, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you fail to understand, do your research, or get someone to talk to really talk about the different types. Whether you're going to be a sole proprietor, whether you're going
Mm-hmm.
to be starting an LLC, whether you're going
Yep.
to have a partnership, what is it? Because all of them have different tax implications.
Mm-hmm.
Also, waiting until tax season, waiting until right before it's due to now try to get everything together. Like I said, my uncle would have those people come in that have stuffed receipts in a shoebox all year long, and
Yep.
then you want the best refund, or you want your taxes done and looking great, but you give garbage expecting
Mm-hmm.
something really of measure back. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another one. And then the other thing for taxes, not making quarterly tax payments. A
Mm-hmm.
lot, you get to that tax time and then you have this like, what happened? Why do I owe all of this? Well, you didn't pay anything in.
Yep.
And whenever you have a bottom line, and the goal for every business is not to have a loss. That is
Mm-hmm.
not the
Mm-hmm.
goal. The goal is to have income. And when you do, the bottom line is you have taxes that you have to pay. But if you do your quarterly tax payments, then you ease that burden when it comes tax time.
Yep, that is very true. We're going to get a lot more to that later, but like you said, which this point actually slides into the next point of which one should you pick, sole proprietor, LLC, and that's something a lot of entrepreneurs make a mistake of when they first file, because you're just excited to start a business and you probably just did a 5-minute Google search on how to start a business. You probably really didn't look into it like you were supposed to, doing your due diligence. And so you just pick sole proprietor, you just pick LLC, and now you got some problems going on and you don't understand, this is not what I really wanted. And I'm not going to get too much into it because I want to let you answer all that. But what is some of the differences between sole proprietor, being incorporated, LLC, and which one do you think is better for a starting entrepreneur?
Okay, so if you're starting and this is completely new to you, you have no idea what your sales are going to be and so forth, and you're just trying to ease your way in, it is fine to be a sole proprietor, but you have to understand what that means. So, really straightforward, it means that you are owning and operating it as a single person, just
Mm-hmm.
you on your own. It's going to be on your individual tax return. You're going to file a Schedule C, unless it just becomes a hobby. But if it's your business, it's your business. You're going to file a Schedule C, and that means that it mingles in with your personal refund or liability. You have to
Mm-hmm.
understand that's usually used by like independent contractors, freelancers, but you're just going to list all of your income on that Schedule C, and then you're going to have all of your expenses, and you're going to let it fall out. But there's benefits to being a sole proprietor as well. On that Schedule C, there are things that you can deduct that even are from your home. So you may not even have an outside office. Maybe you have set up an office in your home.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that you can indirectly and directly take as deductions. All of those things are available to sole proprietors. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that when you step into the limited liability company or an LLC, there are different types. It's not just an LLC. There is a single member LLC. There's a
Mm-hmm.
multiple member LLC. There's it's called a member managed LLC and a manager managed LLC. Then you have a regular versus a professional LLC. You have a
Mm-hmm.
domestic versus a foreign LLC. So these are all things that you need to know based upon what you're doing. Where are your
Mm-hmm.
sales? Are they all local? Are you only going to operate within one state? Are you going to be multi-state? All of those things come into play when you're deciding what type of entity am I going to have? Do I have a partner? Do I have someone else? Because if I have someone else, then I kind of knock out the sole proprietor option. If it's
Mm-hmm.
me and my home girl or me,
Right.
this business person that I know and we're going to come together, then now you're no longer even a single member LLC, but you are now a multi-member LLC. So
Mm-hmm.
that means you are not filing on your personal return anymore. That means you're now filing a separate return for your business,
Mm-hmm.
which now gets into you need to segregate your business activities separate from your personal activities.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those things you must take into account. And then if you're going to talk about incorporating, I don't see a new startup incorporating. Usually you start off as an LLC because
Mm-hmm.
the benefit of an LLC is it provides you a level of I want to call it a shield.
Mm-hmm.
It provides you some corporate protections. So as a single member LLC, as a sole proprietor, like I said, it's commingled with your individual return, often with your individual finances and things like that. If people come after you because something went wrong in the business and they
Mm-hmm.
want to sue you, they can
Mm-hmm.
sue the business and you. It's all
Yes.
together.
Mm-hmm.
All together. The
Mm-hmm.
difference with once you have an LLC is it provides this veil of protection for you. So
Mm-hmm.
that means that now if they sue the business, they sue the business. You are
Mm-hmm.
now out of it. They can't come against your personal assets. They can't come against your
Yep.
home and your own individual bank accounts. It is definitely more, I think it's more beneficial
Mm-hmm.
to do an LLC. But again, I advise people always have an advisor. Always talk to a CPA or a tax preparer, but someone that you trust.
Mm-hmm.
Not someone just trying to take your money, not somebody who doesn't really understand or doesn't know. So like with the incorporation or being a corporation and incorporating your business,
Mm-hmm.
now you kind of you're looking at higher taxes. I
Yep.
don't necessarily recommend that. I say stay in that LLC range, either
Yep.
single member or a multi-member LLC, and file your taxes that way.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like she said, if you're just starting off, which is again, I ask these questions because these are some of the mistakes even myself has made when I was, 16 years old, just wanting to start a business. First thing I did was incorporate, and then if I could go back, everything is fine now, but if I could go back, I would have definitely did sole proprietor or LLC because, like she said, the taxes are higher and I really didn't look into it the way I was supposed to. And then when I finally did start talking to a CPA, I was like,
Now I got it. I get
yeah,
it. Right, right,
I
right.
should
And
have did
and
this in the
there's no,
beginning.
as I think one of your questions you said in the beginning was, should you pay your taxes? Listen, it's gonna happen. You can
Uh,
delay it all you want, but it's gonna happen.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of actually. We'll get to that in a minute, but that is definitely something I see all over TikTok. For TikTok businesses, for some reason, there was this debate on should small businesses pay their taxes or not. I'm barely making well, we can get into that question now. They're barely making $200 a year. And so why should we be made to pay taxes? What is your response to that?
Okay, so if you're only making $200 a year, what are your taxes? I mean, really, I don't even understand that question. If are they saying they netted $200 over? They brought in money and they spent all of it, but $200. If they were real deductions, then you're not paying taxes on that anyway. But you must
Mhm,
file. Because
mhm,
if you don't file, all the IRS may see is the income. You
mhm,
file to tell them what the expenses are. Have you
mhm,
ever seen or ever experienced when someone gets a letter from the IRS and they say, this is what we estimate your liability to be? It's
mhm,
based on your income.
mhm,
They're not looking at any of your expenses. It's based upon whether or not somebody sent in a 1099,
mhm,
however their whatever forms they have that say you made X dollars, and they're going
mhm,
to calculate tax on that income. It is our responsibility as business owners to now say, yes, I made that much money, but this is how much I spent, and this is what I
mhm,
have left over. So you're paying on your net income.
mhm,
And so if you're not making money, you're not paying taxes, but you are reporting what you did. You're reporting
mhm,
the activity, which is why it's so important to make sure you're tracking your expenses.
mhm. And thank you that you said that because I don't think a lot of small businesses it doesn't seem like they understand that concept because, like you said, you didn't understand the question in
No,
the beginning.
understand. Like if you only made $200, no fear, no worries. There's
Right.
no tax on that.
Hmm. Which actually goes into the next one. Now, for the not beginner entrepreneurs, people are actually making money. There's still a lot of businesses who do not pay their taxes. How does not paying your taxes affect you in the long run?
Okay, so there's so many ways I can answer this. First, let's just give you two words: penalties and interest.
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you filed, now it's different things. Are they saying that they haven't filed their taxes or they're just not paying their taxes? Like they know they filed, but they just
Mm-hmm.
couldn't afford it, so they didn't
Mm-hmm.
pay. So
Mm-hmm.
if we look at it that way, then now the
Mm-hmm.
IRS knows what your liability is. And
Mm-hmm.
now what they're doing is saying every single month they are adding on a penalty and
Yep.
interest. And
Yep.
that money that you were afraid of paying or saying that you couldn't afford to pay is
Yep.
multiplying.
Yep.
So you're making your problem worse by ignoring it.
Yes.
And it's kind of like not picking up the phone when that debt collector calls. You're
Yep.
you're making your problem worse, and we've all
Yes.
done it. We've all
Mm-hmm.
done it. Like I'll get to that later, but
Mm-hmm.
it is of benefit that you get to it as soon as you can. Now if you're not filing, that's something totally different, and that will affect you also because they are going to figure out how much income you have, and then they're going to figure out your tax liability for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not of benefit to ignore it. It's not you can make payment plans. Like I said, quarterly payments.
Mm-hmm.
Most business owners are supposed to estimate what your taxes are going to be and pay in quarterly.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar to when you work for a company, every paycheck, taxes are taken out every paycheck because the idea is that I'm planning, I know I'm going to have a tax liability of this, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring that in little by little over every paycheck. For a business owner, my tax liability is going to be this, and with every
Mm-hmm.
quarterly payment, I'm bringing it in so then that last quarter when I file, it's like just filing my last quarter taxes.
Yep. Yep.
That's all it is, or paying my last quarter's taxes. So
Yep.
there's no benefit to ignoring it and not paying it. No benefit whatsoever. They're not going to forget.
Mm-hmm.
You can pray, but the IRS is not known for forgetting. They are known for bringing things up from years ago, and then they'll calculate the penalties and interest on top of it.
Yes, 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 yes. That is exactly why I said the quote that I said in the beginning about being prepared, because you want to go viral overnight and you want all of those invoices to come in, and then you're making all this money, and then now you're happy and all that kind of stuff until the IRS comes, and all that money that you thought that you had, you don't have it anymore because somebody didn't pay their
Poor
taxes.
planning, poor planning. And then
Mm-hmm.
also the other saying is, to whom much is given, much is required. If
Yes.
you received a lot, then our part of our responsibility is to pay into the tax system.
Yes. Yes, very true. I hope
Be
you
an
guys
adult.
are watching. I'm
We
hoping
are
you guys are
adults.
writing this down. I am hoping you guys are writing this down. This is very true. Next thing. Now there's a lot of different CPAs say different things. What is your take on this? Is it better to get office space for tax purposes, or can you use the living space in your home?
Okay, when you talk about a living space in your home, there
Mm-hmm.
are, let me see the best way to say this. If you're going to try to have an office space in your house, there are certain requirements that qualify it as an office.
Mm-hmm.
It must be a dedicated space. You can't
Okay.
say that my living room is my office, because that's your living room.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing your taxes and you're doing it, whether it's on a schedule, it's a Schedule C if you're working out of your house.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to ask you the square footage of your working space and the
Mm-hmm.
square footage of your house. It is supposed to be a dedicated space. So if
Mm-hmm.
we're telling the truth,
Mm-hmm.
it is not supposed to be a shared living space. It can't be the corner of your bedroom, kind of thing where I'm
Gotcha.
operating my business from. That is
Mm-hmm.
not your office. So
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have space to carve out in your home, then it's better to have an office.
Okay. Okay.
There's so many options now, though.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that you can do. I used to have a virtual office when I first started
Yes.
out. When I
Mm-hmm.
very first started out doing, into my own firm, I started with a virtual office until I had enough clients and so forth. Then I had my own office space. So
Mm-hmm.
you start out with a virtual office, you still look very professional,
Yep.
and there are expenses that come along with it, which are great deductions.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that arena, then you can have your home space, that you're using. So when you have your home office, you have deductions that you can take: a portion of your mortgage, a portion of your real estate taxes, a portion
Mm-hmm.
of your utilities, and of course all of your direct business expenses. So
Mm-hmm.
there's benefit, but if you don't have a dedicated space, I don't recommend it.
Okay. Thank you for that, because there's a whole that's something else again when you're talking to this episode is probably going to be a lot again for the small entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, because they don't really study this stuff in the beginning. Again, I didn't know. I just went along with the flow, and it's not until you find out later on there's a whole lot of stuff that I was not doing that you are
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be doing. And a lot of entrepreneurs, like I could see in the comments, Apostle said virtual office. Very true. Of like a lot of people didn't know that you could have a virtual office, and I found
Absolutely.
that
And
out a couple
it
years.
gives you a professional address. You
Mm-hmm.
don't want your home address on your letterhead or anything else. You just don't want that. You don't want to have customers that you really don't know into your personal home. And if you get the right virtual office, it comes along with conference space. You get a receptionist. They answer the phone with your business name. They forward your calls to you. It's a very professional way of doing things at a low cost.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. I found about that virtual office.
I loved it. I loved it when I had it. I loved it. And then
I
I went to the
found
whole
it.
big old expense of a
Yep.
of an office.
I was like, oh, I like this. I like this. And some of them come along with virtual assistants too.
That's
I was
right.
like, I love this. So yeah, definitely for a lot of you guys that going from the comments that never knew about virtual offices, please look into it. I promise you,
They
you'll
are
love it.
all
It will
over the
change your
place. They
life.
really are.
Mm-hmm. It will change your life. Ne- Next one is using a CPA better than using a tax preparer. Name some of the differences between the two.
Depends on what you need. Are
Okay.
you looking for accounting help? Are you looking to get your books and records in order?
Mhm.
You need an accountant, an experienced accountant, or a CPA. Are you looking just to get your taxes done, just to get your tax planning? Again, it depends. CPAs usually have different specialties. So if you're
Mhm.
going to shop around for a CPA, make sure you have one that does taxes. Some
Mhm.
CPAs don't do taxes.
Right.
They're in public accounting,
Yep.
and they're doing audits and compilations and reviews. So
Mhm.
they're the ones that are there for your accounting. They're the ones there to get your books in order and so forth. They can advise you on certain things, but if it's not their specialty, then maybe you do want to go to that person that all they do is taxes. The
Mhm.
difference between the two, though, a CPA is required to have continuing professional education every 2 years to maintain their license.
Okay.
So they have to stay up on the most current knowledge. A
Mm.
tax preparer does not have the same requirements.
Mm.
So
Okay.
there are differences. A CPA knows accounting and taxes. A
Mhm.
tax preparer knows taxes, does not necessarily need to know accounting.
Mm.
You
Okay.
have to interview whomever it is that you're going to choose, and it's based upon what your needs are.
Okay. Okay. That actually goes into actually our very last question.
Okay.
What should business owners or entrepreneurs look for in a CPA?
Okay. So I would look for one that understands your business product or service. So do they have other clients that are in that area, in that region, in that industry, I would say, in your industry, so that
Mhm.
they understand the nuances of what you're doing. For
Mhm.
instance, when I was in public accounting, I was specializing in nonprofits, and I was also specializing in affordable housing. So I
Okay.
knew those areas. I knew about tax credits. I knew things that are available to nonprofits. I
Mhm.
was not doing it for photographers or something else. So something outside of my wheelhouse. I may not know the things that you need me to know as your
Mhm.
CPA. So you want to find out what kind of clients do they have? Do they have a specialty? Do they understand your business? And then also, how accessible are they? Am I going to someone that's not going to have time for me and they're going to rush my taxes or rush my accounting and not give me the time that I need? I need to
Mhm.
know how accessible you will be to me, your staff or you directly. How accessible will you be? Will you put me off until it's a rush job for you?
Mhm.
What are your fees? What are your fees?
Mhm.
Can I afford you?
Mhm.
Don't go to the high rise downtown, that's charging $50,000 to a client over here and think that you're going to be able to go in there and say, "Can you do my return for 150?" No, it's
Right.
not going to happen.
Yep.
It's not going to happen. And then the other thing, how reliable are they? Do they Another one is can they do a financial analysis for you? Can they
Mhm.
understand the health of your business? You want someone that's going to help you as you trek through as a starting entrepreneur to make sure that the health of your business is strong. Can they advise you? That's what you need to look at.
Okay, that's very good. I'm looking at the that's thank you so much for that. Looking through the comments here. We have one people are curious about the virtual office here now.
I'm not a virtual office specialist, but I do have one.
So, Mr. Colton here said, "Can a chef have a virtual office?"
If a chef needs a virtual office, yes, it just doesn't come with a kitchen. It doesn't come with the kitchen. It's more for administrative uses. So
Mhm.
when what I found it very useful for is I had a place for my mail to go. I would be able
Mhm.
to go get my mail. I had a professional person answering my phones, directing
Mhm.
my calls to me, taking
Mhm.
messages, setting up appointments. And if I needed to meet with a client, I had a professional space in which to meet with the client.
Okay. So that's a yes, Mr. Colton. You can have a virtual office as a chef. Now, Miss Simonia here said, "How does a virtual office work?"
You pay a monthly fee, just like it's like a smaller amount of rent. and
Mhm.
they have multiple businesses that they will be providing those administrative services for. But you get a dedicated phone number. So when someone is calling in to your line, they may
Mhm.
pick that up and say, Carlton's food, whatever it is. How may I help you? Whatever that
Mhm.
is. So it looks like your business.
Okay, another question says, can you turn your incorporated into LLC? I think the answer to that is yes.
You can. You can.
Mm-hmm.
There's a form to change your entity type.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All righty. I think that is most of the comments here. I am going to ask you for your contact information here. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm going to look back on this myself and write a few things down. I hope again that you guys wrote a lot of this stuff down. So again, Miss Cheryl is in Maryland. And so, for the people who are in Maryland and they need a CPA, how can they contact you?
Lord have mercy. Okay, so here's the biggest deal. I have to carve out time for more clients now, but I'll give you my email address because I don't have my firm anymore. I've been doing, as you said in my bio, I'm the
Mm-hmm.
CFO for a nonprofit here in Baltimore, and so that's been what I've been doing. But a lot of people have been asking me to get back into my own business and so forth. So I'll give my information. I don't know how much I will be available, but like I said, one of your questions for your CPAs is always find out the accessibility and how available
Mm-hmm.
they are to you. My
Mm-hmm.
email address is Cheryl Hinton at me or at iCloud.com. So that's the easiest. It's my name at iCloud.com. That's how they can reach me. That's the easiest way. You can always direct message me also on Instagram. And I want to say my title or my name on Instagram is Lady Hinton.
Okay. All right, you guys, for the because I already had somebody ask me ahead of time, oh, if she's in Maryland, I want to get in contact with her. So for those of you, like you heard, she's a very busy woman. I can attest to that. She is a very busy, busy woman. But if you want to get in contact with her, email her or go find her on Instagram. Make sure that you send her email, whatever you guys need. Thank you again so much for coming on the
Absolutely.
show.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure.
I enjoyed this episode because I talk about a lot of different things on the show, but we need to talk about base stuff before we can talk about
Yeah.
getting on TV, going viral, and all that kind of stuff, which is great. We need to talk about the base thing. So please make sure if you didn't write anything down, make sure that you look at the replay after I end this live and write some things down. For those of you watching, thank you so much for watching this episode, and make sure that you go follow Chante W Inc. on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitter. I'm on everything. As long as you search Chante Chante Inc., you will find me on all platforms. Make sure that you go check out our website. That is www.chantewinc.com. I have blog posts on there, videos. I have you can book me for speaking on there. You can book me for coaching. I'm also a certified life coach, as most of you guys know. You can book me for workshops. So if you want to bring a workshop to your school or to your business or something, you can book me for that. And also, you guys, in a couple of weeks here, I am aiming to come out with a course for my beginner entrepreneurs. I get asked all the time, how did you get on TV? How did you get these radio show interviews? How did you get on these magazines? I've been working on my business for 5 years, 7 years, and it seemed like nobody hardly knows me. I can't get past 200 followers on Instagram. What did you do? So I am releasing a course. It doesn't have any fluff. It's not any soft
Nice.
stuff, not the things you pay $2,000 for and you hardly get any information
Mm-hmm.
that makes you mad. It's a really detailed course. So I'll be releasing that in a couple of weeks for you guys. All right. Again, thank you guys so much for coming on. And remember, it's CEO Boss Chick Mentality time, baby. Let's go.
I love it. God bless.